Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Today is a really exciting, special podcast day because I've got my bestie Liv in the recording studio, and I'm so excited for so many reasons. Number one, because her baby Rex is also in the studio, and we can hear him like he's making these sounds,
squeaking in the background.
And I'm like, "What is that? Him sleeping?" And Liv's like, "Yes." He like, I wonder if people can hear that. It's so cute.
Is it cute or I'm like asleep or awake?
Asleep
it's
or
a game I'm constantly playing.
Yeah, I know,
these
right?
days. He'll go back to sleep.
We've got Shania settling him. Anyway, welcome to the episode of today. Today is me talking to my bestie Liv. Now, I'm very excited about this episode because I feel like you've been on the podcast several times.
I have, yeah.
But not for a while. It's been a bit.
Today's a throwback. I'm like so excited to be back in the hot seat.
Yeah, honestly. And those of you that have been listening to the podcast for a long time, even if you haven't been a bean from day one, you've heard me reference Liv all the fucking time because I think our friendship is one of those friendships where a lot of people are like, goals, I want a friendship like that. And so like I reference our friendship all the time. So
yeah, we're pretty damn lucky.
And we're fucking lucky.
I know. I think this all the time. Like,
I know.
How lucky are we? It's like a real friendship where it's like you could say anything.
Yes.
There's no kind of judgment. It's very like not face value. It's like everything is on the surface. Like there's nothing underlying.
There's nothing underlying.
That sounds really shallow. No,
but I know
like,
what you mean. It's like in the sense of if we ever are annoyed or have an issue, which is actually quite rare, but I think
really
the reason we don't have the issue, it kind of feeds itself. And the reason we don't have issues is because we're just honest all the fucking time.
All the fucking time.
You know, like about the smallest things, about the biggest things. So there never is this underlying like she's pissed off and I don't know why.
There's never. And it's also to do with like really positive stuff as well. It's like we'll throw like compliments and good chat at each other 24/7.
Yes.
But if we're ever unsure about something, we'll also do the same.
Totally.
Yeah, exactly.
And we also have no issue genuinely pulling each other up, and we know it never comes from malice. Like if Liv is pulling me up on something, I'm more intrigued than anything else. I'm like, oh, do you reckon?
Break it down
or do
to
you
me.
think? Or even like, even if it's an outfit choice, you're like, ooh.
You're like, well, that's interesting.
Many interesting choices have been made. Hello, my beautiful beans. Whether you're a long-time listener to this podcast or tuning in for the first time, I hope you'll check out my new audiobook, How to Chase Change, 30 Days to Master Your Mindset. It's an actionable, step-by-step, 30-day guide to teach you how to shift your mindset and create the change you want to see in your life, from physical and mental health to your relationships, career, self-confidence, and beyond. How to Chase Change is available now wherever audiobooks are sold. Start listening today. What I love is that the journey that everyone's been on with us, with our friendship, because like we've been on to talk about dating.
All my fuck boys. There've been many.
Fuck boys. The fuck boys. I feel like we've had an episode on, we went through all the names of all the fuck boys because there's this thing that we spoke about how if someone's serious, you have like a weird name for them. You don't actually, you know.
Yeah, you always call them like hinge guy or I think there was like Playboy Horn or like
Playboy Horn dog torturer.
Yeah. Literally, fuck off and never come back.
It like never return into my life.
God.
Stay on the peripheral.
Honestly, if you haven't listened to it, go listen. That is
go listen to that. We need to figure out what the name of that episode is. But yeah, I don't know what I just said before, but I think I meant if they're not serious, you have a nickname for them. But when they're serious, you call them by their name, right? And now Liv is with, well, we've got a name for him, but this nickname came after. You called him Pete from day one.
Yeah.
But his real name is Patricia, or Sweet Patrice.
Sweet Patrice.
Or Patrice when he brings you chocolate every morning.
Patrizio.
Or Patrizio because he loves a sweet treat.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's the fucking best.
He's the best.
But they now have a baby, which I feel like navigating friendships where you are on, I don't want to say two completely different paths because I would not say that that's what we're on.
No.
I would just say that we're at different stages in certain timelines, because I don't think that having a child, especially after experiencing you having a child, puts you on completely different paths unless you make it so.
I 100% agree. I think it's exactly what you make it. And going into having a child, I was terrified. I thought everything would change, and it has. But my friendships were something that I was really, really obviously protective of, because they are so fantastic, and I am so lucky to have such great friendships. The way that those have evolved has only been for the better, I'd say.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so. And I think I don't want to say fearful, but I think there was that part of me, and I'm sure with many of the girlfriends, that before you had the baby, it was this anticipation of like, I wonder how this is going to evolve and what it's going to look like and how it's going to affect our friendship. Obviously, it's just like primarily pure excitement to meet who we now know as baby Rex, Reginald.
Reggie boy.
Reggie boy. But also it was this like, what's the dynamic going to be like? Because I know that we gain a lot, but also there was like that slight anticipation of like, what are we going to lose? And I feel like when I always talk about nothing's permanent, it's like everything in your life, even though I see our friendship as being eternal, but everything in our life is like that stage where you don't have kids, that's now done.
It's evolving.
That's now evolved into you now have a baby, and but can I just say that everyone goes through their journeys differently and whatever, but I feel like the way that you've navigated having a baby, but, maintaining such a close connection to your friends has been really amazing. I feel like you've really put in that effort, and we all know it and we all appreciate it. And you
guys make it so easy, but thank you. Yeah, because it is truly a journey. Everything. I don't even know where to start. It is the best and hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah.
But you girls make it really easy, and boys make it really easy.
Well, I think another thing that we're really lucky about also is how it helps to be in close proximity, physical close proximity.
God. Do you remember? So when we first found out I was pregnant, I was like, and I'm moving to Queensland, and everyone was like, oh, that's a great idea. And then behind my back, they were like, absolutely fucking not. That is not a good idea.
Behind your back, Luke, who's also been on the podcast, was like, babes, are you thinking what I'm thinking? Because like, what the fuck is Liv thinking? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so glad you said that. And we're like, do we tell her? Do we not? And I'm like, let's just talk to her about it. I don't want her to be judged. No. But we didn't want you going to the Gold Coast only because, well, I mean, we'd miss you. That's not the only, for many reasons. But I also was like, yes, you have your parents there, your mum there.
And Patricia's family
Patricia's
too.
Parents are there. Yeah, like, it's not like that was the reason that you were going to go there. But we were like, you've got such a good setup here. You love living here. Oh, I just thought, so much. And from like what we've seen with other people who know have kids, I'm like, I think that changing too much in such a big moment in your life might not be helpful.
Too much change.
And we're such a close-knit group. We all live within walking distance from each other.
Yeah.
That I was just worried that you might slip into this. My life has completely changed to the extent that I'm now a different, you know what I mean?
Lost everything.
That you'd lose like your identity kind of thing.
Completely.
How's us thinking like we are her identity?
No, but you are such a massive part of it. And they say, this whole thing around like it takes a village. It really fucking does. And it's not just a village for the baby. It's the village for me too.
You
like
need the village.
Emotional support.
Yes.
The fact that like after a few weeks, we could continue going to like having coffees in the morning and having that sense of normality, even though we had a +1 now. And a little Reginald on the way.
Little Reggie.
Like that sense of normality helped me kind of like reset back into a bit of a rhythm.
100%.
Yeah.
And you had it in the lead up to the birth and then very soon after the birth, literally. I think, which is so good.
It reminded me of like who I am, even though I'm now to have this new identity of like Rex's mum, I'm still not losing Liv.
Exactly.
And that was huge.
And it was so funny because we were like, okay, well, we're going to talk to her about it. We're just going to like gently say like, what are the pros and cons? Have you just, because we wanted to like get you basically coming to the conclusion without us having to tell you, because we didn't want it to look like. And then Liv comes over one day and she's like, guys, I have an announcement to make. I've decided I am not moving to the Gold Coast. And Luke's like, oh, babe, well, I'm glad you said that because we were all talking about it behind your back. And I'm like, no. And I'm like, we were, but not like that.
No, out of concern.
So funny. Yeah, out of true concern.
Yeah, exactly.
But we were rejoicing.
Yeah, me too. Best decision I ever made to stay, by the way.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And also I feel like the partnership that you have with Patricia is so amazing. Like you make such a great parenting team. And like to the extent that like, you bring Rex to coffee, but many times you've just rolled in alone and been like, oh, no, I've just left him with Patricia. I'm on my own today. Like, and you were doing that, relatively early on. I love this idea that it's like, I mean, I could go on forever about this expectation that the mother carries the burden more so than the father.
I have so many thoughts on this.
Oh.
And the way that like even my internal dialogue shifted so massively and I had to pick myself up on it. There were times where I found like, obviously like after you give birth, and I don't know if we're going to go into this later, but I'm already like diving straight in.
Dive in.
Sorry. I would find that yes, because I'm carrying the heavier load, like I'm breastfeeding, I'm also recovering. I'm not working full-time on maternity leave, so my full-time job at the moment is essentially a caretaker, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. But I would find that I would be like, is it okay if you take Rex and I go to the gym? And I was like, no, that's fucked. It's a basic human right, like that I need to go and like move my body and do something for me because I think I was maybe like after 10 days of giving birth that I was like really struggling because I hadn't been alone. And I hadn't had a second for myself. I hadn't like gone for a walk with Lester or like just popped outside to get a coffee. I'd been stuck. And that's fine because I'm in the really early stages of postpartum life. I remember just saying to Patricia, like, I'm going for a walk, stay here with Rex. Like he's fed, he's dry, he's asleep. I'm going for a walk. And it was the best thing I ever did.
Yeah.
But changing the way that I said, is it okay to I am, was the biggest dynamic shift because I feel like it became a real like, not a power dynamic shift. It was more like a struggle for me. Well, from going to this like really highly functioning, like busy, independent woman to being like, is it okay if I go for a shower? I was like, that's fucked.
Right. And you were so independent prior to this, so I think that would be such a huge shift. And also to be fair to Patricia, I think we humans in general, we create a standard in our life, whatever that standard is. So you were probably unintentionally starting to create a standard where he was thinking, well, unless she asks, it's sometimes unless someone pulls someone up on something, it's not an intentional thing because every time you've said, oh, I'm doing this, it's like,
yeah, of course.
Of course.
Yeah.
Like he's never been like, oh, well, you should have given me a warning or like he obviously because he's like, he's keen to be a parent. I hate people saying hands-on dad. You never say hands-on mum. You would never say a hands-on mum. You would never like it. I can guarantee you that Patricia probably gets way more compliments because he's a father than you would because it's expected of you.
Yeah, exactly.
And people say, oh my God, what a hands-on dad. Oh my God, he's so, oh my God. But you don't get that.
No.
Because it's expected.
He's even said to me, he's like, I'm fully capable to look after my son. Go and do whatever you got to do.
Fully capable.
But there is one kind of language thing that I had to pick him up on. And I think it's natural, like you said, like people kind of naturally slip into these things and it wasn't intentional and it wasn't like in a malicious way, but he'd come home after work and I would be like, I've had a fuck day. Like he's like so unsettled. He's cluster feeding. I'm touched out. Like I was freaking out. I was like, I need you to take him. And he goes, let me take him. You go have a break. And I was like, that wording to me is so uncomfortable because I'm not taking a break. You're co-parenting with me.
Yes.
You're picking up your end of the bargain.
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
And he was like, and from that day, he was like, no, you're totally right. I'm sorry that I didn't mean it in that way. And he didn't. But the wording to me was like triggering.
But the wording's massive. And I think that a lot of the time, I genuinely believe that a lot of the time it's just not intentional at all, especially for the guys that are great dads.
And he is amazing.
Even like Tyrone and I don't have kids, but once he was like, I'm going to be the most supportive partner. And I'm like, no. Who are you supporting? Yourself? It's your child. It will be. And he's like, yeah, right.
Your problem.
Yeah. And he's like, so true. I never thought about that. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's not like I'm expecting you to do all the work. It's just, but I believe that language does matter in that regard. Yeah, I think it does matter.
Completely. So yeah, that's where I kind of sit on that.
Yeah. And I think it's really great because we go to the gym, a lot, multiple times a week for saunas and whatever. Mm-hmm. And that's your time.
Yeah.
And one thing that like Stephanie, my sister, has said many times is so many mothers become martyrs in the sense that they put their child's primary, secondary, all the child's even needs ahead of theirs.
Oh yeah.
And what Stephanie said, which was really interesting, is she said a parent, yes, you put your child's primary needs number one because it's your child,
of course,
but she says you should never put your child or anyone else's secondary needs before your primary needs, because then you don't nourish yourself properly as an individual, and then you can't show up properly, and that's where it starts impacting your mental health. So for example, going to exercise, going to the gym for your mental health, having that time, that's a primary need.
Yeah.
So you need to look at it as a primary need. In order for me to be the best functioning person I can, I have to put these primary needs first.
Exactly.
Unless Rex has a primary need, and that will obviously be
exactly. And it's not and the thing is, like, it's not like every morning I'm jumping out of bed, springing up and going to the gym. Like, there are nights where, like, last night he was up every 2 hours and I was like, I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
But the fact that I can, like, get up at 6, pump, leave him, go, and Patricia's all good to go. Like, he's, like, settled, he's fed, he's got milk available, he's got a dry nappy, whatever. Like you said, primary needs, and I'm out the door.
Yeah.
Like, that to me, I come back a better person, a better mum, a better version of myself, and I feel so much more mentally capable to straddle the day or tackle the day because I've done something for myself. And like I said, not every morning, and I'm very lucky that I've got a good baby, and I don't like calling them good babies because they're all good babies, but like he's relatively easy, I would say that.
Yep.
And I know not everyone has that, but having that shift to be able to like go and do those things for myself in the morning, even if it is a coffee or whatever, I literally set myself up for the day. So yeah, those, just doing those little bits for yourself. But
100%.
Massive part about being me at the end of the day.
And I feel like out of our friendship group, so we in Sydney, we've got these 4 of us out of, because we're I think I've told everyone 1,000 times, but we met at Red Bull back in the fucking day, and the Red Bull girls is like 10, 11 of us. I can never know the number, even though I know
there's
all
a
those
lot.
individuals. There's a bunch. But we, in Sydney, we call it the Circle of Love, and it's Bella, Lizzie, and the 2 of us, because at one point we lived like just within a couple of blocks from each other. Bella and I in the same building at one point. Anyway, so the Circle of Love, out of us, Lizzie and I have always been like about children. Lizzie was full on like on the fence. Will I not?
She's like Carrie Bradshaw.
She's full on like, I don't know if I'll ever have kids. Now she's like, obviously, when we talk about kids, we're like, whoa, this is a whole new version of Lizzie, you know, like where it's something that she'd actually consider.
Yeah.
Whereas with me, it's not that I never wanted kids, because I want a family, but I've never craved a baby because that's terrified me.
It is terrifying.
I'm like, no, fucking give me an 8-year-old. Give me an 8-year-old.
Oh my God, a year ago, if you'd given me a baby, I'd be like, what do I do?
Yeah. And so I find it really interesting now, because we're like, oh, we'll probably only really know until one of us because we've got girlfriends that have had babies, but they're in Brisbane or they're in Queensland. So I think seeing the day-to-day, even Lizzie said it, she's like, I was almost waiting to see what it would be like for you to help me even like solidify a bit of a decision for myself, because it's this whole loss of identity that you witness.
And I'm still suffering that, like 100%. Like, there's so much of me that I'm like, what happened to the old me? And that's fine, because there is this new, like you said, nothing's permanent. It's like just the part of me has evolved, and like obviously there's like a massive part of me that's like nothing will ever be the same again, and but I can't even imagine what life would be like without
him now. Yeah.
And I'm really, there's a really real balance of me like mourning the life I had and celebrating the new life I've got.
Yes.
And that's okay. It's just a dance between the two.
Yeah.
But like, there is so much enrichment that's come with this new stage. And like I said, even in my friendships, in my relationship, do you know what? The relationship I have with my sister is the strongest it's ever been.
I know. And I've noticed that massively.
Oh my
God. You've gotten so much closer.
Literally.
Yeah.
And like my whole family. And like, whilst there was like I'm looking back and it was like fun and independent and dynamic, and I was like traveling and here and there and whatever.
Fucking vibes.
I'm like, that sounds amazing. Let's go back there. Like drinks after work, like getting up and going to the gym.
Like, and you were like this like professional woman in the city, taking clients out to get lit.
Like that'll come back around again.
It will.
It comes full circle.
It does.
And now I'm in this like really like soft, like gentle, patient, which is so not my vibe. Patient state. It's a nice new chapter, but like you said, like a whole new identity.
Yeah, massively. And I feel like, well, one thing so I've put up a question box for people to send in questions, but two things that I wanted to ask you, because actually Noni asked you this the other night, and I think it's really good. What has been the hardest thing and what has been the most surprising thing, like positively surprising thing?
I can't even remember what I said. The hardest thing I would say is the unknown. And I feel like I'm constantly like thinking, I'm not what ifing, but I'm like, what if, you know, he has any challenges, or what if he gets sick, or what if I get sick, or what, like, it's this kind of like unknown to me that I'm like stepping into, and there's nothing I can do to prepare myself for it.
Yeah.
Because I'm usually someone who comes in like super prepared. I know exactly what to expect. And this level of unknown and having like someone fully dependent on you is the hardest thing for me, because I can't be selfish anymore. I can't just do what I want to do. I can't be independent. And whilst I really love that, you know, obviously love Rex, and I love this life we've got, that level of like not knowing what's going to come next is really hard, but also really exciting.
It's almost like you're pretty vulnerable.
Oh my God.
In a sense.
The most vulnerable I've ever been in my entire life. I've never had to depend on someone other than myself. And now there are times where I'm fully reliant on Patricia.
You're fully reliant on him. You've got a baby that's fully reliant on the two of you.
Yeah.
And there's so many unknowns, I feel like, with parenting. And not just like unknowns of like, what if this happens, but just even the day-to-day of like unknowns of like, well, I had a plan for the day, but it's like, that's not going to happen anymore.
No.
Like, or, you know.
Literally, there'll be some days where I've got plans and I'm like, sorry, plans are out the window now because he's having a cook today. Like, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Thank God they're rare. But that does happen. And I think also like the way that I've even like watched like documentaries and stuff has changed, because like I literally picture everything now as a mum.
Yeah.
Like my whole perspective on everything has shifted. Everything makes me cry.
Yeah.
Everything makes me scared.
More so than before.
More so than before. Would you believe?
Would you believe? I think everyone knows how much you cry.
I used to cry over Lester.
You used to cry over that dog that had like...
Oh no, the one that couldn't walk.
The one that couldn't walk.
That makes me so sad.
One day we're at the park. We're having a picnic down in like Double Bay. And there was this huge dog. And she's like, I don't like the look of that dog. It keeps staring at me. I'm like, it's a dog, Liv, the poor thing. She's like, no, I don't like it. It's looking at Lester. It's looking at me. And then when they got up to leave, it was wearing like a kind of harness and it couldn't move its back legs. And a huge dog. I'm talking, this dog looks like a 60-kilo dog. And the two owners were like walking it back and it had handles. It could move its front legs. And I'm like, fuck, this dog's got a fucking great life. Like that. And you burst out crying.
I was like,
I was judging the dog.
I fully judged the dog. And the poor thing couldn't walk. And the parents loved it so much.
Loved it so much. They just carried it everywhere.
Literally taking it out for its daily. Who am I to judge this poor little like limp dog? I can't.
And then then we got onto sad dog talk, and then I was like, every time I was like, I'm gonna fuck with Liv this morning, and I'll send her a sad dog story. You're like, are you trying to make me cry right now?
Sets my day up with a tear. And all like the rescue dog talks, like I can't. They literally just put me into a state of dysfunction.
Like one day we were in the kitchen and she just imagined what the day would be like when Lester passes away, and she started sobbing in the kitchen, and I'm like, he's 3.
You're like, he's right there.
He's right in front of you.
And he's fine.
And he's fine.
Oh my God, there was a time I called you and I was like, I'm spiraling down sad dog talk. I need you to distract me. I was like, get me off the ledge.
I'll come to get you.
Oh my God.
So funny. So that's the hardest thing.
Okay.
So what has been the most surprising or pleasantly surprising thing?
I always knew I'd love Rex, so I just want to caveat the fact that the best thing is the fact that I love this kid.
Yes.
The most pleasantly surprised, the thing that has pleasantly surprised me the most is how deep my relationship with Patricia's got. It has deepened in a way that I never imagined, and I love him more than I would ever love anyone ever, which I am so shocked by.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I always loved him, but like the way that he's stepped up as a partner, as a dad, as a friend, as like, you know, the way he interacts with my family, with my friends, like he would do anything for anyone. That to me has been the most rewarding, amazing, exciting thing.
And I feel like having a kid gives you that opportunity to see your partner in like a light that you probably hadn't, you know, had the opportunity, for good and for bad, depending on who, you know.
Literally.
Right.
Oh my God, I've definitely heard some horror stories from some friends, and I also... I feel like you become a bit judgy when you become a parent.
Yeah.
And I'm really trying not to go down this avenue, because each to their own. Everyone has their own path and journey. But I seriously see some dads and I'm like, Patricia would never do that. Like,
yeah, right?
Literally.
And I feel like it's such a... Because even Lizzie was saying like she's been to a few weddings where her friends had kids before the wedding. Yeah. And she's like, it's actually quite beautiful when they do it after, because they're able to talk about their partner as a parent and they've seen them in a whole new light, and they've been able to see a side of them that they wouldn't have even known existed prior. So that's like the beauty of the wedding after the kids.
Yeah.
But yeah, totally. I feel like that would be make or break for me.
Oh,
Make or break. If you're a shit dad, I'm like, I can never shag you again.
there's nothing unsexier than someone being a dud dad.
A dud dad. That's
Yeah.
like the biggest turn off.
No, Hot
ever.
Guys with Babies is probably one of my favorite Instagrams, or Hot Guys Reading, by the way. That's also stunning. But when you see someone who literally is just like the best parent, I swear it's a whole new level of turn on.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you follow that Instagram page? It's called Husband PSA, Husband Public Service Announcement.
No.
It's this really hot black guy, and he's like got a whiteboard, and he like lectures other husbands on like how to actually be a
my
proper husband and father.
God.
He's so good and
I
he's so hot.
love that.
And I'm like, I'm obsessed
Yeah.
with this page. I'm going to send it to you.
Please
And
do.
he's like, you are not giving your wife a break. You are parenting.
See?
Like, yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah, but
No,
I
exactly.
know. I feel like, yeah, but I don't know. I feel like we're taking, hopefully, I might be naive in saying this because we're just surrounded by good guys
Yeah.
or like men that should be doing what they're doing. But I feel like it's getting better and better,
Oh, completely.
I'd like to think.
Yeah.
But I want to
Definitely.
kind of dive into some questions. This is a good one. We kind of touched on it, but how to maintain a friendship when you're in different life stages. So obviously
Okay. I think, obviously we've touched on this a little bit, but I definitely think that it obviously has to come from both sides. And there has to be a level of understanding from the person, the friend who hasn't had a baby, that things are different now. And that leniency kind of has to come a little bit more naturally, and like they might not be able to be there to support you in the way that they were before.
Yeah.
But I also think that, on the flip side, the person who's just had the baby also has to remember that there is life outside what's going on. And it is hard, don't get me wrong. When you're in those first few weeks of having a newborn, there is nothing else that exists. It's just you and this baby.
Yeah.
And that's fine. You go into that bubble and you stay there because it's the best fucking bubble you'll ever be in.
Totally.
But when you're ready to reemerge, your friends will still be there, but remembering that your friend might have got a promotion or might be having a hard time or whatever. And if you can even just check in with them, that's going to be it's going to mean a lot to that person.
Yeah, and it has to go both ways, but in different areas. I
Yeah.
remember for the first 2 months, I was like, hey, do you want to go for a walk? Hey, do you want a coffee? Hey. And then you're like, I feel so bad because I'm never inviting you anywhere and you're always, and I'm like, hey, I'm just throwing it out there as a numbers game. I just want to make sure that you
See what sticks.
see what sticks. Do you want to hang out?
Because I used to be like, let's do this. And I was always, and literally I
Yeah.
felt like it was so one-sided. But
Yeah.
but
And
this
I'm
is what
like,
mean,
but
is,
I
that
get
level
it.
of
You-
support
yeah.
changes and
Totally.
the dynamic changes just temporarily.
Totally.
And then it goes back.
And then
I'm
it goes
like,
back.
want to go to the gym? You want to do this?
Yeah, and now,
I'm
it's back.
back.
Yeah, 100%. But I think it's that understanding of if I was off that mentality of nothing's changed, I'd be like, why is she not inviting me out? Instead of being like, she might have so much on her plate, maybe a coffee would be something nice right now, And so it was almost daily, but there was no expectation either.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
And it was it was really nice. And this is what I mean when I said everyone stepped up and was so supportive. I was going to say something, but I've completely forgotten because that's what I do now. I have literally.
I feel like you always did that though, and
now it's just
you've got
worse.
now you've got something to blame it on.
Now it's worse, and I'm like mid-sentence. I'm like, what was that word I was going to say? And
Or
I'm
mid-sentence, it's like, oh my God, Mercury is in retrograde. And I'm like, you've really thrown me off track now. I had no idea what I was talking about. You're like, sorry, what were you saying, babe?
yeah. Oh, okay, I remember now.
Okay.
So whilst for the parent or the person who's just had a baby, your whole world has changed, but your friends hasn't. Your whole world has completely shifted, and just remembering that the world's still turning outside your bubble.
Yeah.
I feel like that kind of gave me a little bit more perspective on things greater than me, especially when it was a tough day as well.
Yeah.
So, but then on the flip side, knowing that your friend who's just had a baby, her entire world has changed. Her whole life has changed. Her body's changed. There's not one part of her that has not been impacted.
Yeah.
Everything. I would say hair, brain, skin, vagina, boobs,
Can
nipples,
we talk about
everything has
the
changed.
body? How's your relationship with your body?
So, whilst I was pregnant, I would say it's the best relationship I've had with my body. I was really, really in love with the way that it did what it needed to do. It grew, it fostered and grew this amazing baby. And it blows my mind that it just knows what to do. And I'd say it's I actually looked at my body and I was like, you're beautiful. This is amazing. There were
I know, it's
which is
fucking
wild.
incredible. Every time I see a pregnant woman, I'm like, oh my God. It's
Yeah.
insane.
And I was never one to be like, I love my body, but because everyone has their shit, right? But when I was pregnant, I was like, this is really amazing. I really loved it. Postpartum, I think there's a lot of pressure on the woman to snap back and
Oh
to
my God, yeah.
bounce back. And I've fallen victim to that 100%. I've looked at myself. I was 14 days postpartum and I was like, why do I still have a belly? My mum was like, what the fuck,
Like,
Olivia?
yeah, it's like 9 months your body has been,
Exactly.
you know, yeah.
And everyone's body is so different. Like, I'm still struggling with the way that things are changing. Like, because your body, when you're pregnant, releases this thing called relaxin. It's like this hormone that allows your organs to move and your hips to widen and basically to make room for this baby.
Super flexible and yeah.
And amazing. But it stays in your body and also makes allows your muscles to relax as well. So I'm a little bit softer than I used to be, and I like have kind of been in two minds about that. And I'm like, oh fuck, my legs aren't as toned as they used to be. But then I'm like, can you just like take a chill pill?
Yeah, literally.
And I try and remind myself all the time that like I'm still breastfeeding. I'm still recovering from a 9-month journey. Yeah. And that's okay. So there's
But also not only a 9-month journey, plus the birth.
Yeah.
You know, so it's you know.
Undergone major surgery.
Yeah.
Abdominal surgery. And I'm like, my tummy's a bit flabby.
And Peter's like, you literally have just given birth through your stomach. Yeah. You've just birthed a child.
Can you just work on your like core strength?
I know. And this is something that I want to talk to you about this because like we're saying, everyone's got their different journey. Everyone's on a different journey. One thing that I find like, because I'm not a mother, haven't gone through that at all. You know, when someone does bounce back and they, you know, even just share, oh, how I'm going, whatever. Yeah. And then a lot of people are like, you're setting unrealistic standards. You're this, you're that. Yeah. And I kind of feel like, unless you're framing it to be like, this is the standard, does that still affect you? Or are you able to be like, oh, this person's just, their genetics are fucking set up to have them just, you know?
I'd say really both. Like there's part of me that's like, oh, fuck, she looks amazing. Like good for her. Like love that. Like fucking slay mum. Like the fact that you can wear jeans after 2 weeks is fucking goals.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, should I be in jeans? Like, do I need to buy bigger jeans?
It's almost hard not to.
It's really hard not to compare yourself because that's human instinct, right? You naturally compare yourself.
Especially to things that you would desire.
And you're currently experiencing. And like, I think if you can just pull yourself up on it and be like, don't do that, like just like shut it up. But like any other, you know, experience in life where you're kind of like experiencing it, wanting it, whatever, if you can just like be a little bit more self-disciplined and like, just like, you know, run your own race and like be gentle with yourself, and that's okay. Like that kind of, I don't know where I was going with that.
Yeah, but I also feel like we set like, you know, you could have a certain goal of how you want to feel or how you, whatever it is. Yeah. But sometimes like, yes, okay, some people, it happens really quickly. But sometimes like if you were to be like, okay, now I'm able to go to the gym now. I couldn't do that a month ago. Exactly. You know, like now I'm able to do, it's like
I can hold a plank for 30 seconds.
The pressure, the pressure we put on ourselves of like, it's got to happen now. But like one day after another, one foot in front of the other, like time's going to pass anyway. And now you can already look back and be like, I feel already stronger. I feel like I'm just myself.
This is what I said to you. I said my main goal, because I had the weakest core strength. Literally, you'd like knock my shoulder and I'd be like, and fall down. the most pathetic core strength you've ever seen in your life. My goal, I said to Alexis, like back when I was recovering, I was like, my main goal is just to get some really strong core strength just for myself so that I can come back stronger this time. Yeah. And it wasn't so much around like, I want to get toned, I want to get like fit, whatever. Like obviously I want to be healthy, but like being able to.
I love his little sing-song in the background.
Just to like have really strong core strength that I didn't have before, to me is a huge win.
Yeah, massively. And that's something, and this is another thing when it comes to like goals and whatever, just going on a bit of a tangent, but I think it's so helpful to remember. It's like, especially like this is a prime example, like you've had a kid, it's very easy for a lot of people to slip into, and I'm sure that if I ever have a kid, you know, it would happen to most people, I would think. But it's easy to slip into that, okay, the look, fitting into this, fitting around. So it's like if you almost can turn your goals around to, instead of being like, I've got to, it's almost a negative goal in the sense of like, I don't like this, so I need to change it. So instead of that, turning it around to being like, what are these wins that I can work towards that are almost like, you didn't have great core strength, but even before you were pregnant. That's
No.
something you talk about all the time.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, but, my core strength is something I want to work on. My core strength, this
Yeah.
is before you were even
Exactly.
a day pregnant. So it's like, that's a really good goal to have because you're like, this is a goal that would be important to me regardless
Yeah.
of anything.
Yeah.
And when you start to see these wins, like I can now hold a 30-second plank. Okay, great.
Yeah.
In the past, it could be longer, but, and then
Yeah.
by the end of the year, what's that going to look like and what's that? And it ends up being this really fulfilling
God,
goal that you're
completely.
earning.
Yeah.
That's not attached to something that maybe doesn't make you feel good.
Even just, especially postpartum, even being able to get up and go for a walk around the block is a win.
Yeah.
Like the smallest bit of movement, the smallest thing that you can do to help start those building blocks
Yep.
is a massive win.
Massive win.
Yeah.
Massive win. Okay, this question is elite.
Okay.
Hi, Liv. How did you meet your partner? How old were you? And did your relationship move pretty quickly? Sorry, it's just split over a few things.
Yeah.
I am 30, single, and dream of settling down. I'm getting uncomfortable with my time frames. I remember a previous Do You Fucking Mind episode where you came on and you were super single, so I was just interested. I'm very happy for you. This
Okay,
is
I feel
great.
like you're
I'm
gonna love
excited
this
about
story.
these timelines. So
You're gonna love
let's
this
talk
story.
about the timeline.
So-
And this is what I love about it. You never know what's around the corner. So
Oh my God, no. So Patricia and I have been together for 2 years. And
with child.
and I've had a baby. I love this question because I feel like this is literally a modern day romance.
Isn't it?
Well, yeah. So super single Liv. Yes, we love her so much. Miss her. Love you. I was literally in my fuck girl era. I
Yeah.
was having the best time. I was literally shagging, dating, kissing, whatever. Anyone, everyone, having the best time.
Having the best time.
So
having at the live summer.
Oh my God, so many duds.
Live,
And
laugh,
then
love summer.
living, laughing, loving my way through Sydney.
Good times.
I think I got to a point where I was like, I need to take a fucking chill pill. And I went off dating for 9 months. And I didn't think it would be 9 months. I was like, I'm just going to take time
Yeah.
for myself. And it was that time it was 3 months. I had a 3-month goal. And it naturally just went to 9 months. And I didn't kiss anyone, didn't date anyone, didn't chat to anyone. I was doing nothing. And then I downloaded Hinge one Australia day and I was like, I'm going to fuck someone. Like I
am down.
I was like, I'm down. I'm like keen.
Yep.
So I matched with Patricia and he was like, I live in Coogee. So I was like, guys, we're going to Coogee for Australia Day. I was like, everyone, I was like, rally. Then we were chatting. He goes, I'm in Bondi. I was like, everyone get your shit. We're going to Bondi.
Like, I am going to get laid.
I was like 100% convinced. And he was like, good looking guy. He was nice. He had good chat. And I was like, I like this. I like where this is going. So we went to meet a couple of friends in Bondi. He was like, I'm at a house party. Should I stop by? I was like, yes, absolutely. And he turned up to the pub and I really like this. He turned up with 2 girlfriends.
Love that.
So I was like, this is a cool flex from
Yep.
him. Like,
Yep. Strong
obviously,
energy.
Yeah, I really
Yep.
liked that. Met like a lot of our little Bondi crew, which was really cool. They all kind of liked him. We stayed around for a few drinks and literally it got to about 10:30 and I was like, we're going home to my home together
You and
now.
me. Right now.
Yeah.
You will meet my dog.
And you will come meet Lester. We will have a great time. And we literally hooked up that night, like had sex and it was fantastic. Love that so much. Well done, Patricia. Great. Good for you. And it has literally been, I've been with him ever since.
Yeah,
Kind of.
well, no,
Kind
this is
of.
what I love about this story as
Yeah.
well, because I think it's important to note that, well, I'm going to go on a little detour
Yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
The next day, you then came over and we went out with Tyrone on the boat.
We went on a 3-day date. I think it was
3-day
the
date,
following
which is where-
weekend.
Yeah,
Because
yeah, it might have been the following
It
weekend.
was, and he basically came. It was a long weekend for whatever reason.
No, it's because it was Australia Day, so it was that
Oh,
weekend.
maybe it was that weekend.
Yeah, and then we
Fuck, that
watched
was-
like the
babe,
semi-final.
The timelines are looking good. It was really
the
quick.
timelines were tight, but there was like a good 5 months before you became official because you were like, I really enjoy your company. But am I ending this? And I feel like
Yeah.
a lot of people either are that or are on the receiving end of trying to date someone
Yeah.
like that. And it's
Like,
and I'm
like
normally
that.
like just
retrieve energy.
abort, bail,
Yeah.
because if you're that in love. And at one point, you were like, I don't want to string him along, especially if I don't know what I'm doing. So maybe I should just like
I just put all
End
my
it?
cards on the table.
Yeah.
We'd been away for Easter long weekend. So it's gone from January to I think Easter was in March this year.
Yeah, yeah.
And we went away for the long weekend because I was like, you're great. We have fun. Let's go away for the weekend. So we did. And then we were driving back to Sydney. I was like, just so you know, this is where I'm at. I'm like, I'm still really open. I'm not looking to settle down. I am open to seeing other people. I'm cool if you do too. This is where I'm at.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm okay with that. And the next day he goes, I'm actually not. So I've got to step away. He goes, I actually like you a lot more than I think. And I don't really like that. So I'm going to remove myself. And I was like, respect.
Yeah.
Like, those are your boundaries, 100%. And then I think that lasted 2 weeks.
It did. It was like just a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And then I think
we got back. We not
started
got back
talking.
together. We started seeing
you
each
started
other
seeing
again.
each other again. And I think that's when it became a little bit more like, okay, is this?
something.
And even then you were still like,
Just so you know,
I miss his company,
changed.
but nothing's changed and this
Yeah.
and that. And then like it got to a point where it was July because I was away.
Yeah.
I was in Europe and you're like, we're official. And I'm like,
God.
what?
We went to dinner. We went to Taco Tuesday with like our friend Luke. And I said to him, I was like, I'm going to let Patricia know you can be my boyfriend tonight. And Luke started crying at the table.
Luke loves like a strategic weekly cry. So he's like, I've banked up all these tears for this moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then, so that was July 2 years ago.
Yep.
1 year. And the funny thing is like, so you went into dating him, like you were into him, but it wasn't like this like butterflies, oh my God, love of my life. Oh
it
my
was
God.
a really
It was like a
secure-
slow burn.
Yeah.
But then just a couple of months in, you were so in love. And
Yeah.
I'm like, this is one of those like slow burn things that actually, you know, that's why I'm
Yeah.
always like, just don't judge how you feel in the first few dates.
Exactly. And I think there's a lot of expectation around like butterflies and tummy flipping and funny flutters and all this stuff. And like, yeah, like I definitely had like fanny flutters and like a few, but I wasn't like the highs and lows of like, are we, aren't we, this, that. I was just like, it was very, very secure and lovely and nice and never questioned where his head was at.
No.
It was always a very open dialogue between us.
Always.
So
that was July 2 years ago. Then about a year later, you went on a Euro trip together.
Yes.
And you were more in love than ever because
Yeah.
you're like, I just love traveling. We had such a beautiful romantic time. It was
and
just,
he'd never been to Europe. So I
yeah,
was
so
like,
it's even more
oh
special.
my God, there's something so
Because then
special
like
about
they're
that.
so in awe and it's like, this is so fun. I can almost like experience it again for the first time through your eyes kind of thing. Yeah.
And we were like, should we just like stop being so careful and see what happens?
Which bold fucking conversation after dating someone for 1 year.
Literally.
Okay, but let's talk age.
Together.
Let's talk age because
yeah.
2 years ago, you're 1 year younger than me.
Yeah.
So 2 years ago, you were 32.
Yeah.
So you met him just before you turned 32.
No. Yeah, wait. So he came to, it was Louise and I, and our other girlfriend and I have the same birthday. Louise and I had a joint birthday. It was her 30th. It must have been my 32nd.
Yes.
Because he was there.
Yes.
And then October of that year, so that was in March, October of that year, he moved in. Then we moved into a new place together in February. So then I turned 33, fell pregnant. Yep. And now I'm 34 with a
And now
baby.
you're 34. So 32, or 30, end of 31, start of 32 was when you met.
Yep. That's right. And now 34
Now
with
you're 34
the
with
child.
child.
Yeah, literally. So it happens real quick.
So as far as timelines, this is what I love about it. Like it's just like bang, 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 bang.
Yeah.
And Tyrone and I have been together for 4 years. Sans child. Do you know what I mean? This is what I mean about
It's
timelines.
so different.
Like you can look at like you just
It
can't.
could be anything. And the
It
thing
could
is,
be anything, and it could accelerate really quickly or not. You can take your time, or you can be like, you know, I've got a friend who was kind of seeing someone and then fell pregnant and then was
Yeah.
like, are we going to be official now?
Yeah.
Am I going to keep this thing? And now they're married with 2 children living in New Zealand, like
Exactly.
absolutely thriving, obsessed with each other.
you could have a one night stand and then be a mother.
That's what happened to my friend.
Yeah. Exactly. That's it. So I think it's good to hear everyone's timelines in terms of like expansion and be like, okay, cool. That, you know, to know it could happen that quickly is great. But like everyone, the universe is going to serve you whatever it is that you're ready for.
Yeah.
Or like whatever is meant to be. I feel.
Yeah.
That. So yeah, hope's not lost. What is she, 30?
30.
Yeah, babe.
Yeah. Yeah.
still got
I
it.
met Tyrone at 31.
Yeah.
You were 32. You know, like I feel
Yeah.
like 30s is where it's at, guys.
I love
30s
being 30.
is where I fucking love my 30s. Oh
I
my
know,
God.
me
My
too.
mum always warned me about how good it was going to be. And I felt so fucking old when I was leaving Red Bull. I'm like, I'm done.
Oh my
I've got
God.
nothing. I'm
I was
expired.
27. I was like, life is done. Life is over.
so dramatic. And now I feel younger now than at 24,
Oh, you know, definitely. I love it.
which is wild. Here's a great question. My partner and I are wanting kids soon. How do you know that you're truly ready and not just clucky?
Babe, I still don't know.
I will never know.
I still don't even know if I'm ready. Like, there is no way. I feel like everyone's like, you're never ready. There's never a right time. I couldn't agree more. Like, if I kept waiting for the right time, I'd probably still not have Rex.
Totally.
I think you've just got to go with your gut. Like, if you feel like you love that person and you can see yourselves being a great team together and you know that you're going to be tied to this person forever and you love that person enough to, like, have a baby with them, just go for it.
Totally.
Like, what are you waiting for?
And I think, like, also, do you feel like genuinely you can be supported enough, not just with your partner, but in your life?
Yeah.
That it's like, yeah, if I feel like I've got a good,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, this is for me personally. Like, I'm not saying that someone, and if you're not supported, don't have a child. Not at all. Because other people, you know, but because I'm so like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Then for me, I just look at like my network and I'm like, regardless of how hard it's going to be, I know I'd be very well supported.
100%. And
So I
it's a
think that
huge
would help.
factor.
Yeah.
Like, it's a massive thing to consider. And also, like, your whole life will change. Like, we know that. But I think the thing, speaking personally, the reason we decided to, like, be a bit looser around contraception. Well, I say contraception, we were literally pulling out.
Yeah.
We weren't even, like, wrapping it up. Just
Just like
full on raw dogging it
yeah.
and just pulling out. Anyway, was that I was like, look, I'm 33. If I need help or support fertility-wise, I'd rather know sooner rather than later. And that was just my personal opinion on the matter, or, like, where I was. And thankfully, we didn't need any help, obviously.
Obviously, like 1 week later.
Literally
like,
1 week later pregnant. But that, I don't know if that helps with anything, but I always kind of like, especially being in your 30s, I know there's a certain stigma around like fertility and this and that, and making sure that, you know, everything's kind of like your pipes are all good down there or whatever.
Yeah.
So that for me was where I was at, and like going down the road of like egg freezing, like was I doing one or the other, which a lot of our girlfriends are doing now. And
a lot of our girlfriends are either doing it or talking about it.
Yeah.
And they're really,
But yeah, like you will never be ready, and even after the baby comes, you will still not be ready.
Yeah.
I
don't think you'll ever be ready for something that's A, so big, and B, something that you've got no first-hand experience in. Like, you just got to roll with it.
Exactly. And there's nothing more daunting than the idea of giving birth when you've never done it before.
Yeah.
Because you're like,
do you know what terrifies me?
What?
Like, birth, all of that, but taking a baby home.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck am I doing with this creature that I have no qualifications on, and I've just allowed to take it? What do you mean
like,
I'm allowed with no
bye-bye.
license,
Good
no
luck.
certificate? And I'm like, walking home with this like lump
a
into
bag
my
of
home.
bones. I literally, I've said this. I've said this to you before though. You need a license to drive. You need like a certificate or whatever qualification to serve alcohol. But you can have a baby
and take it home and raise this
like,
child
without any kind of like vetting process. They're like, okay, good luck, goodbye.
I know.
All I'll say is, anyone who's gonna have a baby, the midwives at the hospital are the best things on earth. Like
they're doing the most.
They know everything. I literally cried when I left. They're the most amazing people.
It's like your support network.
Oh my God. I literally cried on the way out. I was like, bye, guys. And then I felt...
They're like, there's that crying lady. She's finally gone.
Oh my God. I formed the most unhealthy attachments to my OB and my midwife.
Oh my God.
I literally cannot wait to get pregnant and see them again.
It'll be like a big reunion. I remember how much you cried during the pregnancy, but for nothing major. Like, you'd be like, I'd be like, how are you? And you're like, ah! And I'm like, oh my God, are you okay? You're like, I'm actually fine. I'm just really emotional.
Cry for no reason. I still cry for no reason.
So good.
The hormones are fucked.
Yeah.
Like
your mum's like, she stayed over for a month when you first gave birth. And she was leaving. She still had another 2 weeks, and she was just going to stay at an Airbnb like 1 block away. And she's like, anyway, bye. I'll see you like tomorrow. I'll see you in 12 hours.
In the morning.
See you in the morning. She's like, bye. And you're like, bye. And then you're like sobbing as she's walked out of the door. And I'm like, oh my God, is she not coming? Like, what? I'm so confused.
Is she leaving tomorrow?
Is she leaving tomorrow? And you're like, no, she's still here for another few
I
weeks.
just feel so supported.
I get that though. Like, it's, especially having a mum there. Fuck. Like,
oh my God. Yeah. I cried because I was like so happy.
Okay, here's a great question.
Oh,
Has Liv experienced parental judgment from other people? And if so, how does she navigate it?
I have never received so much unsolicited advice from strangers on the street. I had a man stop me to tell me to put socks on Rex.
What?
It was 27 degrees. Also, no.
Also, I'm fine. He's fine. He's
Literally.
like peacefully sleeping.
I swear to you. So the judgment, yes. I feel like everyone's got a thought about how things should be done. This breastfed, bottle fed, this, that, solids, blah, blah, whatever. Not from my own friends, from strangers. From randoms. Or from like people like, and the thing is, I genuinely think that people are trying to be helpful.
Yeah.
A lot of the time. But the thing is, it's not helpful.
Totally.
And the way that I've dealt with it is just being like, okay, yeah.
Because the thing is that people automatically think that their way is the best way. Because if they didn't think it was the best way, they wouldn't be doing it that way.
Exactly.
So they do believe they're contributing something to you. They're like,
yeah.
I'm going to give you a fucking nugget here.
Oh, yeah. And people
a
are
nugget
like,
of shit.
Yeah, and I've even had a girlfriend, actually this was from a girlfriend, when I told her I was pregnant. She was like, are you taking your prenatals? I was like, yeah, I'm taking this one. She was like, oh, don't take that one. Take this one. And I was like, okay, I'm not changing my prenatals.
Like I'm fine.
I'm good with what I'm on.
Yeah,
But
and it's all the same.
And then she even goes, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I just did what everyone hates. And she pulled herself up on it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, but like that's what I mean is people are trying to help. They think they're being helpful. But do you know what though? I know that a lot of people struggle with even judgment from their own parents of like how to do things. My mum has been the most unbelievable hands-on, hands-off, I keep banging, hands-on, hands-off type of mother where she's like, I'll be like, do you think this? She's like, I don't know. You do whatever you want. I was like, what would you do? And then she'll tell me when I ask her.
Yes.
And she's been the most, like, I would say she's like been the best mum.
That's
or
she's been
grandmother.
amazing.
Oh my God.
The times that I've been over and she's like, she's fucking love her so much.
But I know there's a girl who has a little girl and Rex and her are like literally 2 weeks apart, and her mum is like, don't do this, don't do that, don't bring her there, she's tired, she's hungry. I'm like, I would explode if I had someone like that.
That's just too much.
There's nothing more irritating than someone telling you that your baby's hungry when you know that they're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I know their cries, I know when they've eaten, I know, or fed.
Yeah.
Like I know all the things. Okay. So let's do 3 more questions. Okay. So this is not specifically related to babies, but it is, what would your advice be on how to keep a strong connection over a distance with a friend, like 1.5 hour drive for 3 years? My friend just moved away for 3 years. She's my twin flame.
Oh, that makes me sad because do you know what? I get like real separation anxiety when like we leave each other.
I know.
We go away. And the thing is like when we like the funny thing is like when we leave each other, we don't really speak every day.
No.
But we'll like send each other random memes and
we'll
stuff.
We'll send each other shit or we'll text, but it's not like a daily conversation thing because normally when we're away, this would be different in this case. It's because it's like end of year Christmas. So it's you've got a lot on, I've got, or if we're overseas, like if you've gone on your Euro trip or me, and then again, you're like on holidays, it's a different mode.
Yeah.
If we were to move away, that might look different. But yeah, we definitely get a bit of separation.
Oh, 100%. So
the person that stays when the other one goes, it's like,
oh, I'm like, when are you coming back?
And our routine, it's not the same.
Oh my God, I know. And she went to Europe twice this year and I was like, you're leaving me again. Again. But I think if someone's moving away, I think you've got to kind of accept the fact that your relationship is going to change in some way. Like that kind of spontaneous, like coffees or walks or whatever you do together, that kind of level of connection is obviously not going to be what it was. So I don't know. It's the hardest thing. Like especially, it feels like not a breakup, but like that level of intimacy kind of.
Totally. And that proximity where it's so spontaneous. Like even when like Grace was living in Sydney, because she was in Manly, we didn't have that spontaneity with her. We probably, and it would have to be so organised and so planned. And it's just like there's something so different and quite special about having that proximity. But it's not to say that, so for example, I've got, how I moved to LA and I was living with Carly. She's been on the podcast as well. And we just fucking hit it off like a house on fire. Now we message here and there, send each other shit all the time or comment on each other's stories, whatever. But we probably have a phone call probably twice a year. Yeah. Like it's not much. But when she's in Sydney or when I've gone to LA, it is like boom,
non-stop.
Instant. It's like nothing.
It's like never left each other.
Never left each other.
Oh, yeah, completely.
So I think you've got to look at it as you determine how often you're actually communicating with each other, and is it going to be phone calls and whatever. You also want to give your friend a bit of a grace period to settle into her new life. You might feel a bit unloved because she's the one that's left you, so you're feeling the void. Whereas for her, it sounds like she's going to study because it's 3 years, but I don't know. Whereas for her, it might be this quite an exciting adventure of like everything's new home, new whatever it is that she's doing with her life, new. So you've got to be like, as painful as this is, I've got to realize that she's just not going to miss me as much initially because there's just so much going on. That always happens with the person that leaves.
Completely.
So that's one thing to just remind yourself of, even when it's really hard and you feel unloved. That's not what's happening. And then another thing is, again, remind yourself this is a season. It's a season. If I can find a way to nurture this, even if it's not as tight, then when we get back together, we can pick up where we left off.
That's literally my favourite saying at the moment is it's a season.
It's a season.
I say as I've got breast touched my boob.
As he's like breastfeeding and so like, this is a season.
Hang on.
Baby.
But I think something that really helps, especially with like longer distance relationships or whatever, is having something to look forward to. So knowing when you're going to see each other or speak to each other or whatever, is like having that next kind of like pinpoint.
Yep.
So that you know that you've got like a next check-in or whatever. And
Totally.
Treat it as a relationship, like as a romantic relationship.
Look at our relationship with Lucy, for example.
yeah.
Lucy and Nikki, like, I talk to Lucy on the phone, and we normally speak in the mornings, like he'll be on her way back from the gym or whatever. Like, so we speak probably, let's say 2 mornings a week. Off lately, it's been more so, but roughly 2, sometimes 3 mornings a week.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's very quick because like, oh, babe, I got to go. I'll call you back. And then she never calls me back. And I'm not sitting here like, oh my God, she never called me. But then we see her probably at least once a month.
Yeah.
At least.
Exactly.
You know, so it's like, it's a long distance friendship, but we probably will likely never live in the same city ever.
Yeah.
You know,
unless she moves to Sydney.
Unless she moves to Sydney,
Move to Sydney
immediately. But that doesn't impact the friendship at all. So there are definitely ways of you know,
completely. It just takes effort. It's like just takes effort on both ends, as always.
It does.
Yeah,
It
two-way
does.
street, doll.
All right. Second last question, Liv. How do you go about being present at events without your baby, for example, when you're at Luke's wedding?
Oh my God. Okay. So I'm like, I have a lot to say about this. I built up to this. So Luke's wedding, I actually felt okay. I felt really okay, but it was because I'd done a few stints here and there away from him. Mind you, saying at Luke's Bucks, it hit the 6-hour mark and I literally spiraled into anxiety and I was like, I'm so stressed. Like,
I'm like, do you want a drink? A shot? What?
Everyone was like, let's distract her. Everyone was so amazing and supportive. Actually, one of our friends, Shane, literally sat down and was like, literally.
He's like a
doing
professional
God's work.
dancer. He's like, distraction.
And they were amazing. Mind you, Rex was fine. He was absolutely fine. He was probably asleep by then.
Loving life with your mother.
But I worked up to it. So at Luke's wedding, I missed him a lot. And I thought about him, especially when I was like pumping at a table full of people.
That breast pump barely fit into your tiny handbag.
I know. And mind you, I'll just let you know that Alexis all tried my breast milk.
I shot her
shot
breast
it.
milk. It was sweet and thinner than milk.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, but fine.
It's like our own version of a
I mean,
white
our eyeballs
Russian.
have actually touched. No, I've licked your eyeball.
Why
at one
are we
point.
like
Why
this?
are we like this?
Why are we like
So
this?
yeah, I had your breast milk.
Yeah, which
I
was
mean,
amazing.
yeah.
That's intimacy.
At its finest.
So I went okay. And then actually next weekend we're going away for an engagement and it's my first night away. Like full night away.
So you build basically
I've been building up.
to it. Mm-hmm. And also I feel like when he's with your mum, you'll probably have this other layer of like, it's mum. You know, like he's got such a great relationship with your mum.
Exactly.
You know?
And also my mum's a nurse, so I've got like this extra level
Another
of like
layer.
assurance.
Yeah. So convenient.
I know, but leaving him with someone else I think will take a little bit more. But small. I've left him with like Luke and Aston before for an hour or two and they've been fantastic. But I would just say work up to a babe. It's not easy.
Yeah, just slowly. Yeah, honestly.
Yeah.
And then for Alexis, do you feel like, well, this is for both of us really, do you feel like your friendship with Liv has changed after she's become a mum? No.
Nah.
I actually don't. And I do think that the fact that you chose not to move to the Gold Coast helps in the regard of like, even in deep, see, this is why routine is so important because even in like massive life changes, when we've maintained like our morning coffees, now we're going to the gym again together. We get like tonight we're going out for dinner with the Circle of Love girls. Like just that, I think and the conversations, have they changed? Absolutely.
God,
We're talking about
totally.
babies way more. We're talking, but
Yeah.
it's stuff we want to talk about. You know, it's a huge, not just for you, but it's a huge event for us as well.
yeah.
That you've had a baby. Like, it's so exciting for like all of us. We love it.
Yeah.
So yes, okay, the topic of conversations change as it does when anyone has a big life change.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like when if one of us ever goes through a breakup, we're talking about the breakup.
100%.
I think a lot of people will complain or be like, oh, but now everything's baby talk or everything this or everything's that. But isn't that the case with any major life change? It's like kind of where the conversation steers. And also, yeah, we talk a lot about babies, but you aren't someone that's like, I only talk. Like, we talk about everything.
Everything.
You know, and you're interested in all topics.
Yeah.
You're not like,
I need stimulation
anyway, back
too.
to talking about my baby. Like, you're not.
I'm like, tell me what's going on in the outside world.
Exactly. So we're like, tell me about Rex. And you're like, tell me about it. So
It's
it kind
so
of,
good.
So yeah, it absolutely has not changed our friendship whatsoever.
I would say even deepened. And
yes.
as someone, I think I've said this to you before, but there is nothing more heartwarming and special than seeing your friends hold your baby. Nothing will prepare you for it. Nothing will ever stack up to it. It is the most amazing feeling, especially when they're so loving and kind and gentle and amazing and like, you know, interactive with your baby. It's the best feeling on earth.
And we fucking love having him in our little crew or our big crew.
And he's always around.
And I've like, listen, I might not be the most maternal person, but Rex smiles at me probably the most as far as non-family.
Oh yeah.
He's
a big smiley boy for Auntie Alexis.
He loves me.
He does.
I'm staring at him right now and he's like staring at like the roadcaster like, what is this robot with lights?
No,
Baby. But yeah, it's definitely deepened the friendship, I would say.
Agree.
100%.
And for anyone that like, you know, where the relationship changes for, you know, in a negative way, babe, maybe they're just not the right people or whatever. Like the ones that fall away, like your relationships definitely do change. Not all of them are going to change for the better, but the ones that drop off are the ones that aren't serving you anymore, especially in this season.
Yes.
So,
and I feel like if it's dropped off, it's because one of the two did not manage the expectations of the friendship properly.
Yeah.
In the sense of like maybe you were expecting too much of the other one, whether it's the mum being like, it's as big a life change for you as it is for me and you've got to do everything, or the other way around being like, well, you haven't been there for me, but they've just gone through huge life change. And, you know, I feel like one thing that will really serve you with any friendship in any major change is like, I have to find a way to put myself in their shoes and really manage my expectations during your favorite word, this season.
The season.
You know, during this change. Like that shit's, you know.
Huge.
And I feel like if you can do that, it allows for so much like wiggle room and space and growth. Like I've got friends like Carly, like I said, when we're just not physically together, we're not great communicators.
Yeah.
If I was to be like, oh my God, but we're both kind of, it's great, you know, the same as with, you could apply that to anything.
Literally.
You know?
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Oh my God, this is the episode. I feel like we've gone over the hour mark, so we're gonna have to wrap it up eventually because then it just turns into one of our just coffee sessions where we talk about.
I'll come back again and again.
She'll be back, obviously. But thank you for coming here with Reggie. His name's Rex, but Rex is technically short for Reginald.
We found out after we named him.
After you named him,
So he's Reggie Boy.
Reggie Boy.
Thanks for having us. We love you so much.
I love you so much.
Thanks for loving him as much as I do.
Oh my God, I do. Oh, he's like reaching for the microphone. Oh my God. Guys, thanks for tuning in. Love you so much. Thanks for sending in questions. I probably didn't get through not even half because we're both so excited, but that's okay. As always, remember, be kind to yourself, be kind to your brain. Don't take shit from anyone, and especially don't take shit from yourself, Duncan. Most people learn a lot more from their losses than their wins. Why? Because if you are always winning, you are not exactly sure what the formula for success really is. You never had the chance to correct, edit, redo, and study your own behavior until you're able to change an outcome. And if you always feared losing, then you will always avoid taking bigger risks because you don't know how to cope with the failure or the loss. A lot of people ask me about accountability buddies, which is the idea of sharing a goal or a commitment with someone else who's on board to keep you motivated and on track. Where do I stand on this? Personally, I think accountability buddies are the icing on the cake. They can make goals a bit easier to achieve and fun along the way. However, these buddies should not be solely responsible for getting you to take action. Make sure if you have one, you are not leaning on them for everything, expecting them to do more work than you do, or blaming them for not doing enough to motivate you. And when it comes to your romantic partner, think very carefully about getting them to be an accountability buddy. This works for some people, but when one slips up, it can be easy to blame them for not getting you up early or for offering you a piece of cake late at night when you promised you would both quit sugar. You begin to get annoyed and resent your partner for not living up to the expectations you had placed on them. And this can cause unnecessary tension. At the end of the day, the buck must stop with you. And the longer you use accountability buddies or anyone else as a crutch for why you have not succeeded, the longer you will feel powerless. When in reality, you hold much more power than you give yourself credit for. If you put your own personal growth in the hands of someone else, then you will never feel in control of the trajectory of your life. If you make a commitment with someone to embark on a challenge together and they slack off or give up, it is not your cue to do the same. And it is not productive to blame them for not helping you. If the help is there, take it. But do not rely on others to transform your life and your relationship with yourself. Everyone is on their own journey dealing with their own shit. Make sure you don't relinquish the power you have to change your situation because someone broke a promise. You are your own accountability buddy, first and foremost.